My idea for a Star Wars anthology film might sound a little kooky, offbeat, and unconventional than, let's say, a Han Solo movie or an Obi-Wan movie or a Boba Fett movie. My idea for an anthology film is probably too weird and risky for Disney to try out right now, because we're still in the early stages of them owning the franchise, and they'll probably keep things pretty conventional for the time being. It's completely understandable. But eventually, I think they'll have to go outside of the familiar and explore areas of the franchise that might be a little more weird in nature and look at some existential questions. What I'd love to see in a Star Wars anthology movie would be for the franchise to take a look at the far, far distant past, before what we're all familiar or vaguely familiar with. I'd love to look at the beginning of the Force, where people first realized that they could bend this newly discovered energy field to their will. Discover that they could tap into this odd and undefined ability that had been there all along, but now it has been detected and manipulated, giving those who clear their mind the capability of wielding it to their wishes. Almost like the birth of a religion mixed with the scientific detection of energy waves. We could see the formation of dogma. We could see the first people to discover this power and how the factions split. Some people would want to control the Force for their own personal gain. Some people would want to spread the word and teach everyone about it. Some people would think that this seemingly sacred knowledge might be too dangerous to let the word get out and want to hold back the information and not let it spread throughout the galaxy. There could be some very interesting power dynamics going on. We'd be able to kind of see where the idea of Jedi and Sith came from. They wouldn't be named Jedi and Sith in the film, but you'd be able to kind of understand which vision would lead to which factions. I think an anthology film like this would be a really interesting dissection of how the Force came to be in the Star Wars universe. The mystery behind the energy field, as Obi-Wan called it, would still be intact. We don't need to know where it came from or what it technically is. All we need to know is that it's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together. That is pretty much the perfect explanation to keep the mystery intact. We really don't need to know much else. I've always viewed the Force as being like gravity. It's there, we kinda know how it works, we can simulate it, we can escape it, but to answer the philosophical question of where it comes from is impossible at this moment in time. I've always viewed the Force as just another universal natural phenomenon. The Force's mystery is beneficial to its existence in terms of storytelling, but to see the first people who discovered its presence and came to understand the good and evil potential of its use, I think would be fascinating. In my head, I'm picturing the scientists behind the first atom bomb. They were a part of this incredible scientific endeavor to harness this ridiculous power. And once they understood its true potential for destruction, the view for a lot of them kind of changed. J. Robert Oppenheimer, after witnessing the first atomic bomb detonation on July 16, 1945, said that his first thoughts were, quote, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds," close quote. And that line is from the Bhagavad Gita. I can imagine the first people to understand the Force's potential for both good and evil might have a similar thought. What if this power gets into the wrong hands? I can imagine some people wanting to keep it secret. I can imagine some dastardly folks wanting to use it for their own gain. And I can imagine some people wanting to use it to bring peace and justice to the galaxy. And that is the type of Star Wars anthology film I would love to see come to light in the future of the franchise. It's a little out there, I absolutely admit that. But eventually the Star Wars franchise is gonna have to look outside of what we're all familiar with. And it's gonna have to explore different ideas that keep things interesting and unique. And I think a film that explores the discovery of the Force could be very compelling. HelloGreedo, out.